Hello there.
Welcome back to Jedi Knights. This is episode 18, season 2.
Season 2.
Season 2, episode 1, but we're not naming them that way because I want to see the big numbers.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get up to like 100.
Yeah.
Episode 100 of Jedi Knights.
Yeah, so this is a spiritual season 2. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joined by my co-host, my co-pilot, Mike Connors.
You're Chewbacca in
Yes.
arms. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back.
Me too. We had basically a full month off.
Yeah, it seems longer than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't done this in like 6 months, but
Yeah, it's been a long time. Surprisingly, get this, large amount of Star Wars stuff happened while we were off.
wow, you think?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I will note this also, Pat Maroney, no longer on the show, but he's doing big things, so shout out to him.
Yeah, he's not dead.
Yeah.
We've like accidentally killed people on this show before,
Yeah.
and just by the way that we introduce them or lack of introduction.
Yeah, I saw this Twitter trend the other day to bring back Ben Solo.
Oh yeah.
Should we start a Twitter trend to bring back Jack Martin? Because he's still in that weird limbo. We don't know what's up with him, right?
Exactly. Hashtag save Jack Martin.
Yeah, I'm going to tweet that at him.
Yeah, tweet that wait, what is
At
this?
Fascinated Jack. No context.
Hashtag save Jack.
See what happens. We're not going to do an opening segment this week because, like I said, there's a lot to do.
Oh,
A lot to talk about this week. Slightly different lineup, I guess, of what we're doing compared to what our original run of show was.
I was gonna say, should we for the people out there say what each episode's gonna be
Yeah, so
from now on?
what we're doing now, we're still going to cover news and like the bigger stories of everything, but we're continuing the trend of reviewing and watching stuff in the Star Wars universe that is canon.
What would Jedi Knights be without that?
Of course. So the second half of the show every week is going to be discussing and reviewing a watch-along of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the acclaimed animated series. And we have some interesting things to say, so look forward to that in the second half of the show this week.
Yep.
But first, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do for the end of Season 1 of this show. We left off having seen The Rise of Skywalker once each.
Having just seen.
Yeah, within 12 hours of recording that episode.
Yeah.
Have you seen it again?
I have. I've only seen it 2 times. Once with you guys, and then once after that.
Me too. I've only seen it twice. I'm probably going to try to see it one more time before it's out of theaters.
Yeah, when does it go out of theaters?
I feel like the meter is normally like within 3 months.
Right. So what, we got like till mid-February maybe?
Potentially. Because I think when The Last Jedi came out, and that was also a December release, the Blu-ray I think was April, and I think March it was nowhere except for small theaters. So yeah, February is probably your last chance to see it in theaters.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely see it.
But I want to ask you, with your second viewing, has anything changed from where you were?
Oh yeah, big
Okay.
time. I don't like this movie at all.
Yeah.
I think when we talked about it, like immediately after seeing it, I was not as visceral in like my hatred of this movie.
Oh, hatred.
All right, hatred's not the right word.
Disdain.
Disdain.
Yeah.
Way better word. But yeah. So I just don't like this movie.
I don't either.
I have to be honest.
Because I saw it the second time with my girlfriend, who I got into Star Wars like probably 2015 or 16, like around the time Force Awakens came out. And she listens to the show, and I was telling her like, hey, you might like it. I know you didn't love The Last Jedi, but this is the discourse is split once again.
Yeah. When is it not?
Yeah. What's that opening crawl that people were tweeting out before 9? It was like, Star Wars Episode 9. People mad about Star Wars on the internet again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that just happens anytime.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing it with her was interesting because there were choices she did not agree with. She was not a fan of everything, but like, I enjoyed it a little more the second time just because like the heart was already broken from the first viewing, you know? Like it couldn't get worse for me.
Right.
It was more of like, just let me see what they did, you know? Let me deal with what we have.
Well, the first time you watch it, you kind of, you don't know what's going to happen, so you're more invested in like each like story beat.
Mm-hmm.
You see it a second time, you're not as focused on that because you already know what's going to happen, so you can pay more attention to the smaller details.
Yeah, I think stuff in the third act hit harder for me this time. Like, it was cool seeing the entire finale go off. I wasn't a huge fan of it the first time, and I still think that some of the choices they made were a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there was something that gave me chills that didn't the first time. It might have been, like, the shot of all the ships.
Yeah, there's some cool moments.
Yeah,
like,
'cause,
it's
like-
not.
Yeah. And, like, everything with Ben Solo, still loved seeing him return. The one word of dialogue he had.
That's like I don't know. Like he doesn't do anything. Like his death is like, or his redemption doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like
I enjoy the subtlety and the performance of Adam Driver in his actions. Like I like that, like the Han Solo-ness of Ben Solo is there, like the no looking, blowing away the guy. I like that moment, and
the
the
shrug
shrug,
that
yeah.
he does, yeah.
So
I have to say that my thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker are so low that Solo. They're so like I let me just say that I like The Last Jedi a lot more now.
we won, ladies and gentlemen.
I think you did, really. Because okay, I didn't really like The Last Jedi before I saw The Rise of Skywalker, in the hopes that maybe The Rise of Skywalker would fix some things from The Last Jedi.
And did it?
No, it just like retconned most of it and threw it in the trash and just disrespected Rian Johnson.
Yeah. By the way, saw Knives Out. Loved it. Very good.
Heard good things.
Recommended.
Okay, good to know. Filmed in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Very close to my hometown too.
Yeah, but I think The Last Jedi, for me at least, has a little bit more. It holds a little bit more resonance.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, but it was that's the biggest shift for me. I
Mhm.
think.
For sure. And yeah, while I did enjoy more things, I'm pretty much same boat as you.
Yeah.
Not a big fan. But this isn't a time to be negative. We're back talking Star Wars, and Star Wars is great.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is great.
So I don't think I talked to you about this much, but the ending of The Mandalorian. Are you a fan?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, spoilers on the table now for Mandalorian season 1.
Spoilers
You've had
for everything.
you've had a full month since the show ended, so we're gonna be pretty open right now. There were 2 episodes left from where we talked, right?
I think we left off. We watched the one with Bill Burr. I
Yes.
think? And then after that are the last 2.
Yeah. So were you, as someone who vocally wanted to see more of the Werner Herzog plot, the stuff with the remnants of the Empire,
Mm-hmm.
were you satisfied by the way that thread was dealt with?
Yeah, I think so. My biggest concern, like halfway through the season, was that it kind of felt directionless.
Mhm.
They were just hopping from planet to planet, like just doing random side quests and stuff.
Yeah. And I don't think many people would like disagree with you, because that happened. I just enjoyed that. Like, I was cool with it if it was just going to be that.
No, I mean, I enjoy it in retrospect. I wouldn't have been cool with it if it was just going to be that.
Mhm.
But I do like how the last 2 episodes kind of just like refocused the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And those filler, I don't want to even say filler because they're not really filler, but those middle episodes just kind of act as like
Character development.
yeah, or not even, or the character development and just like showing how time has passed.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think overall, my favorite episode is still episode 4
It's the Sorgan one, like with the ATST.
with the village. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that might still be my favorite. The finale's really good.
The finale is phenomenal.
Mhm.
The last 2 episodes are really good.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite between those 2?
Between the last 2 episodes,
Yeah.
the finale.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the finale is really good. I really like have come around to the Bill Burr episode.
Really?
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually rewatched it.
Nice.
It gives me like, it's obviously meant to very horror vibes,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah, I really like the shot choices they made, and like the very on the nose Mando like popping through the hallway on the flashing cuts.
Yeah.
I love that. just because it's so different but it still like retains the overall vibe that the show has. So yeah, big fan of that episode also. The choices they made with the characters in the finale. Do you have a favorite moment from the concluding part of this season? Because obviously we have the unmasking of Mando, the reveal of the Darksaber, the I guess redemption of IG-11.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment is the redemption of IG-11, but not for the fact that it redeems like his character. It's weird talking about like a droid in that way, but the fact that before that, Mando kind of shows his development in terms of his thoughts towards droids.
Yeah.
And I think that is the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the beginning of the season, he starts off in a very different place than where he ends.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
Me too. I liked seeing that very much. I think the highlight for me in the finale was probably seeing Cara Dune come back, and like even like just her involvement with Mando as like a team for the final 2 episodes. Very much enjoyed that.
They gotta just hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's like, I know she's chilling off the ship now with Grease Karga?
Grief card.
Grief. I knew it.
Grease is the
I know Grease.
is the alien Fallen
Greasy
Order,
money.
yeah.
So it's cool that she's hanging out there, but like I want to see more of her next season, and I'm sure we will.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But are you hopeful for next season?
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Mhm.
think it just opens up a lot of opportunity for the showrunners to explore Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Now a Mandalorian, technically.
Well, yeah, he's a foundling.
Yes.
Very cool.
Interested to see how that develops.
I like how his signet was created
Yeah.
with like
The Mudhorn, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, the mud horn, but it's also like the ear, like Baby Yoda's ear.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the unmasking? What were your thoughts?
I didn't mind it. I didn't think we ever needed it, you know?
Yeah.
Since the show has ended, I've read far too many articles that make me realize that Pedro Pascal was like rarely on set for this show.
Yeah, he just voiced over most of it.
Pretty much, like this is some Darth Vader stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bummer. But shout out to let me look up the guy's name because I knew he's a stuntman. I think he's John Wayne's nephew or his son.
He's got some connection. I don't really know.
What do you think of it? Because if you're bringing it up, I'm assuming you didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a highlight.
It wasn't really a highlight. I didn't think it was super necessary, to be honest. Kind of felt like they just kind of, maybe Disney felt like they needed to show his face.
Yeah, well, you're paying for that.
That Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Beauty. I would like to see him kind of become his own Mandalorian in the next season and like create his own rules maybe and take off his helmet
Okay.
and do some fighting without it, because like you said, you're paying for Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
You got to use that face.
If they choose to not, though, Brendan Wayne is the actor. Did a solid job characterizing Mando under the mask.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. Congrats to him.
Yeah. I'm very excited for the new season.
Yeah. I wonder how many seasons it's going to be.
Yeah, because you have to assume that being the runaway success that it was, and for the number of people I saw saying they dropped Disney Plus after it ended, I have to imagine that they feel like Mando is safe territory now for bringing back subs, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, that Cassian show, both of us are really excited for it,
Mhm.
but, like, Cassian, I feel like might have a less iconic selling point.
Yeah, like the layperson's not going to be like, oh, yo, Cassian Andor.
Yeah, but,
you
like,
know?
if you see a Mandalorian, you're like, oh, that Boba Fett guy, right?
Well, exactly, right.
So.
And he's unnamed and, like,
Mhm.
it's very easy to get into.
Yeah, so I feel like between that, also Baby Yoda, you have to take that into account.
Definitely. God, that is so genius.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
they really knew what they were doing. Any post-mortem concluding thoughts on anything else from season 1 of the show?
I do like how Gus Fring. Who's that guy? Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Just pulled that out of me. But I do like how he was introduced like that at the end of the second to last episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's really setting him up to be the apex bad guy.
Yeah.
In the next season.
I did get spoiled on the Darksaber.
Oh no.
Yeah. Because I think I watched the episode maybe a day or two after it came out. And I was looking up something about The Mandalorian, and then auto fill in on my phone gave me a recommended like article from Google or something, and it was like, what's that Darksaber in the Mandalorian finale about? And I was like, this is why I don't do these things.
Yeah. Do you think it looked weird?
I don't know. It could have just been the fact that it was there for like 3 seconds, but
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a little strange, but I don't know.
yeah, that's probably the point though, right? It's an unnatural sort of weapon, you know?
Yeah, it even looked weird in Rebels.
Yeah, I don't know the lore behind the Darksabers significantly. I'm familiar there's a tie to the Mandalorians, but
Yeah, I don't know the full history either.
so, but yeah, that wraps up the plot holes, I guess, of season 1 of this podcast. I finished Fallen Order also.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
enjoyed it very much.
Really? Can we talk about that like briefly?
Briefly, yeah. The first opens very strong, like we talked about on our impressions episode. I thought it dragged a little bit from Zepho to the second time you go back to Kashyyyk. The second time you go to Kashyyyk is when you climb the tree, and then there's like the Avatar bird moment.
Oh, dude, the whole tree sequence made me want to die.
Really?
I didn't really like it.
I thought the payoff of it and just like finally reaching the top and everything, and like the moment with the bird, that sort of kind of made it feel like a Star Wars thing to me. Like,
Right.
wow, just like this clash of nature and the Jedi and their Cal's obvious tie to the Force showing through his relationship of taming this beast. And I thought that was really great, and that got me really hooked through the ending. Night Sister Merrin, favorite character.
Babe.
She's great.
I'm
I
just
want
kidding.
more of her in
Yeah.
the sequel.
Do you think they got a thing going on? Cal.
They're playing it up. I read an interview too that I guess that's the direction they were given, of like, hey, you're interested.
Yeah. I mean, it's very subtle. Like,
It is, yeah.
But it's definitely there.
Yeah.
I have to say, all the Dathomir stuff is my favorite part of the game.
I think I agree with you. All that stuff was really cool. The boss there, I'm blanking on his name.
Terran Malicos.
Okay. I had a feeling that's what it was. I didn't want to be wrong. But
Fallen Jedi.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Interesting, yeah.
Wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was like a nice little aside, you know, because I feel like that's sort of where that plot landed for me. Like all the Dathomir stuff, it's presented to you from the beginning. I went there first. We talked about that. I didn't go to Zepho first.
Well, you can't really do much in Dathomir.
Right. So that's where I'm coming from. I think they present it as a side thing, and even though I think that boss fight is probably one of the best in the game, at the end of it all, outside of the fact that you bring in Merrin to the crew, Dathomir did feel like a B plot.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So.
yeah,
Mhm.
that the whole Terran Malicos thing did for sure.
Yeah, it was cool for sure. I'm not downplaying that, but like,
Yeah, I just had the most fun there. I thought it was the most interesting setting.
yeah, it took me a few tries to defeat him.
Oh, this game's really hard.
Yeah, it
I
can be
find.
tough.
I find.
I think that was the biggest wall I hit. I got spoiled on the ending. I won't spoil it here because games are longer than shows.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Were you? I mean, like, without spoiling it, were you satisfied with the ending?
yeah, I thought it was fine. You know,
Yeah.
I like the Night Sister too, or not the Night Sister, the second sister. I thought she was a good character. Also,
Oh yeah.
When she was unmasked about halfway through the game, also that was another point of me being like, oh, okay, we're diving in.
Mm-hmm.
Hopeful for a sequel.
Definitely. I have to say, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, and without spoiling it, I do think the ending was a little anticlimactic.
Sure.
However, I think that was the point.
Did you ever play Crash Bandicoot?
Well, I've played some of the games. Yeah.
Did you ever play one of those levels in Crash where it's like there's the boulder following you and you're just running away? That's what the ending of this game is.
Exactly. Right. I mean, like, there is no escape.
Yeah. It's just it's running away from a boulder with a lightsaber.
Yeah. Overall, really good game.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Totally.
Respawn makes good games, and I just hope the sequel runs a little bit better.
Yeah, I didn't have much as a problem with that, but
Yeah.
for your sake.
Yeah. So,
did you play it on PS4?
PS4 Pro. So I do get that power boost, but yeah, barely helped. So that's the recap of our experience with Star Wars over the break. The world's experience with Star Wars over the break did not stop.
No.
Because we have a lot of news. We're not going to dive too deep on all of these things, but we have some things to discuss if we're a reputable Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, no, we need to discuss some of these things.
First off, we're going to go through these, and if depending on what the headline is, we can like dive deep. I want to start.
How many items do you have? Like a few?
1, 2, 3,
Because I
4,
feel like
I have 5 items with some details.
All right.
This Obi-Wan show.
Oh, right. Okay.
There's some drama.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So I think it's confirmed. If you're not familiar, I'm not going to give the whole story, but there was some like fan site was like, hey, it's canceled. And then people were like, no.
The fan site was like, hey, sources say it's canceled, but like, who?
And then a couple days later, I believe more reputable sites were saying that like it's fine, and then someone said that there was a rewrite happening with the scripts, and that is true. Kathleen Kennedy said she wasn't satisfied with the quality of the scripts, so they are delaying shooting until it's written better, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that she recognized that.
Mm-hmm. And Ewan McGregor has reiterated, hey, no big deal. This is cool. Like, it's going to work out. I'm still Obi-Wan. Don't worry about that.
If they are taking more time to make this series better, like, they can take as much time as they need.
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to make it better, like, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
take another 6 months. Like, I want something that is going to be, like, worth watching, not something that's rushed.
Yeah. If they need to, take a full year. We have Mando Season 2 coming this year. You know, we got a new season of Clone Wars next month. So this Star Wars content coming this year, it's probably going to be good. So for how much I love Obi-Wan, favorite Star Wars character, I know you really love Obi-Wan too, specifically Ewan's Obi-Wan. Just take your time, make sure you get it right, you know?
I'm not really, what did they say? What did they say they're hoping to release it by? Like 2021, right?
I believe 2021 alongside Cassian, and I think it was scheduled to start shooting this summer. Now it's a bit more up in the air. So if they start shooting by the end of this year, maybe it could still hit like late 2021. But there's no official word on that. Just the fact that there's some hiccups.
If it takes till 2022, whatever.
Yeah.
Take till 2023 if it's gonna make it amazing.
Yeah, because there's not going to be a shortage of Star Wars content, you know?
No.
There's probably going to be later years, but because the next movie I think is 2022, as of right now, that could change.
Nothing official.
I think they have a placeholder for 2022 for the next film.
That's so broad, though.
I know. Because there were also rumors that we were supposed to be getting an announcement for a director this month for the next Star Wars film.
We still got a few days.
Yeah, we do. There was a rumor, and we can kind of just segue right into this, I feel. Taika Waititi, rumors have been, sources say, approached.
Sources close to Jedi Knights say.
Yeah, that he's been approached to direct a Star Wars film. I think people that are concerned about this are valid because there's the fear that Star Wars is going to turn into Marvel, which I think is... I don't think you need to be worried about that. Where do you fall on that argument?
I'm actually very worried about that.
Really?
I think, like, Disney has a tendency to try to like homogenize a lot of the stuff that they buy. And like Marvel, like there is a Marvel formula, right?
Right.
And that we know that does really well
For Marvel.
for Marvel.
Yeah.
But who's to say that like Disney's not going to try to sort of replicate that on a Star? Like it won't be the same, but I have a feeling that they could Marvelify Star Wars in the same way.
Here's why I think you don't need to be worried. I think they took that approach with all the sequel era films so far. I think they with the exception, I'd say, of, I guess, from a structural point, The Last Jedi, but from an overall narrative point, like public narrative as well, also counting Force Awakens, I think those films are inherently Star Wars with the way they are produced, approached, written, personally. But everything surrounding those movies, the spin-offs we got, Episode 9, I think you can like clearly see the influence of Marvel in those films.
I see that. I see it in The Rise of Skywalker more than anything.
Yeah, I think you can go there with Solo also. As far as being like super quippy, exploring a character that as a standalone to like flesh out more of this universe.
That's a fair point.
And those films did not do very well with like context of everything. Like obviously they made billions of dollars. But reception for most of those were mixed, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that after all the films we have so far, what are there 5 now from Disney? The trilogy and the 2 spinoffs. I think the fact that they're re-evaluating their approach to Star Wars makes them realize that it is a different beast and they can't tackle it like Marvel.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that that's where they land on it.
Because I feel like they've been candid also with the fact that these movies aren't performing the way they want them to.
Well, I think it would be dumb for them to deny it
Yeah.
because it's just untrue. Not that they haven't been performing well. Like, let's not get
Yeah,
that
like
wrong.
all things considered, they're fine. But
Yeah.
it's always about making more money. They could be making more if they were handling it, I think, in its own way.
Mickey Mouse has got fat pockets.
Yeah.
You got to fill those up, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that the new era is bad, because we're clearly both fans of most of the stuff that's come out from Disney.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think more specifically with the case of Taika, just look at the finale of Mandalorian, because he directed that.
I do think he may do better with those like spin-off movies.
Okay.
Like which movies did he direct for Marvel? I'm like
Thor Ragnarok is the only one currently.
Okay, that's a great movie.
Yeah. But it is very Marvel, you
right,
know?
yeah. But I think that I don't think he would go as heavy-handed on a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the finale of Mandalorian is evidence of how he'd handle a Star Wars film, because I think there's a lot of his flair in there, like Jason Sudeikis' Stormtrooper character.
Yeah, true.
And people loved that, you know?
Yeah.
And it felt like it fit into Star Wars, you know? I thought it fit, personally.
I wouldn't trust him with like a trilogy or anything.
Yeah, and I don't think that's where we're going right now, but the idea of him being involved more with Star Wars, even if it isn't just maybe an episode of Mando Season 2, I would be very interested to see what he does.
Yeah, I would be too.
So, and as far as, I wanted to bring up the Marvel thing because he is a prominent Marvel director. Obviously, the next Thor film is going to be him as well. But yeah, he's talented. Like, he knows what he's doing. Watch his other movies that aren't like big IP films, because he's a good director.
Yeah, he just recently did JoJo.
Jojo Rabbit, What We Do in the Shadows was also him. A very good movie.
I need to see Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, me too.
I heard good things.
Me too. You know what else I've heard good things about, Mike?
What?
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, yeah, with the Rise of the Resistance.
Sure, but do you know that Galaxy's Edge is now an award-winning thing?
Sure. I did not know that.
As of last night, January 26th, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has a Grammy.
Wow. For what? Like
the theme that John Williams composed for the theme park.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have Apple Music. Flame me in the comments below because I don't use Spotify.
Spotify for life.
But Disney has like this playlist on Apple Music for Star Wars music. And what would you assume? On a Star Wars Essentials playlist, what would be the first song?
The opening crawl.
Yeah, you'd think. But Disney threw the Galaxy's Edge theme in right before the main title.
That's great.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And doesn't make sense.
Is
I
it-
guess. What?
Is it good?
I didn't like it at all.
Okay, I haven't heard it yet because I want to save that because I still haven't been to Galaxy's Edge.
Right. Yeah, I haven't either.
So like I want to save that experience of like the first listen is like walking in there, but
I mean, it's John Williams, so like it's good, but like that doesn't belong. It's the first song in a playlist for Star Wars Essentials, man.
yeah, I think you could also get away with Duel of the Fates in there first because that's like the meme song.
No, dude. Like you got a main title, and then you can get into
Yeah.
all that.
I think Spotify also has a playlist, so I can check what their first one is.
Yeah, I'd like to see whether I'm sure it's similar because they probably coordinate these things across platforms. But
Yeah. So, but you mentioned the Rise of the Resistance ride. Have you looked into that at all?
yeah, I like watched it on YouTube.
Really?
I've watched all of them on YouTube.
Oh, I want to know nothing about it.
Okay, well I won't say anything.
But yeah, that's getting good reception. The failing theme park is doing incredibly well still.
That's so dumb. We got to take a Jedi Knights trip
We do.
to Galaxy's Edge.
We absolutely do. First song on Star Wars soundtracks. Well, this is created by a guy named Josh, not
Oh,
anyone official. The main theme for Star Wars. Second song is Duel of Fates.
thanks, Josh. You did it right.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't do this on purpose, but here we are. Episode 9 was originally called Duel of the Fates when Colin Trevorrow was in charge.
Yeah, it was. So we both saw the concept art.
Yes. I want to preface this discussion
Yeah,
because
I
this
was
could
about to
be
say.
fairly beefy. Obviously, I think there's a line that has to be drawn with these sorts of things because fan outrage when it comes to what could have been, I think ever since Justice League has been at a fever pitch.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's funny I'm saying this because I believe the guy and I want to see his cut of that movie.
Yeah.
But, like, Colin Trevorrow's episode 9 doesn't exist. You know, like, they didn't shoot it. He got let go before Carrie Fisher passed away.
Yeah, it only exists up here in Colin Trevorrow's head.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'll say the concept art discussion. Several of the people that worked on that concept art have come forward and said, hey, just because we drew this and illustrated it does not mean it was going to be in the movie, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is a lot of unused concept art from the other films that,
Yeah, and like stuff that was used way after the fact too.
like the Death Star stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, Colin Trevorrow was originally going to be the one to direct Star Wars Episode 9,
He was going to title it Duel of Fates.
which I think is a much better title, personally.
Yeah, The Rise of Skywalker is a dumb title.
It's very dumb.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't.
We're not going to get into that.
The Skywalker falls down a pit. He literally falls.
Right, yeah.
I know he rises again, but like it's a dumb title.
Well, it's not. It's supposed to be
Rey.
Rey, right? Ugh.
I digress. Duel of the Fates, yeah, it's like a fan servicey title, you know,
Right.
because it is the meme song from the Star Wars saga. But like,
yeah, but it would make sense. Though.
yeah, it would. It seems like from this concept art, from Trevorrow kind of using Twitter to confirm some of his original plans, there was some carryover between what we got and what he planned.
Mm-hmm.
The whole dyad and the Force thing between Rey and Kylo was still present. Palpatine was still involved, but he was just a holocron.
The dyad thing, I don't think was really Colin Trevorrow's idea, though. We can thank Ryan Johnson for that one.
Yeah, I liked the dyad part.
Oh yeah, me
So-
too. But I don't think that was.
Yeah, so like I'm just saying it like continued down that path.
All right.
And from what I've read about this, it does seem like it followed more of a natural progression of the story beats from the Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of different stuff that has come out about this. I think some of the highlights we've already brought up. But what's your stance on all of this? Like, I'm assuming you did read into this fairly, like, quite a bit.
You kind of assumed wrong, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't want to read into it because
Sure.
I'm like a little afraid that I'm gonna just like get more upset.
Yeah.
Because as much as I wouldn't want to get into that mentality, I would start thinking about like what could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody does when
Yeah.
they read stuff like this. But from what I know about it, like it's definitely like darker.
I think it's more interesting.
Yeah, like darker, definitely grittier. The concept art alone just seems like almost like savage in a way. Like
Sure.
there's some weird stuff in there
Yeah.
that like if that was in the final movie, that would be mind-boggling.
Yeah. There's, I think one of the highlights also, sort of from an imagery standpoint, Luke as a Force ghost is haunting Kylo Ren throughout the film in a way that's, I'm assuming, is just like, he's constantly there. Like, he's not doing like spooky stuff, you know, with the Force, but like he just sees him as a constant reminder. Like, he can't escape it literally because he just sees him standing there.
It really gives extra meaning to the see you around kid.
Yeah.
at the end
That's
of the
where I
last
thought we
Jedi.
were going.
Me too. Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that also because that was some pretty decent speculation going into 9. We did also have an exploration of Coruscant in the new era. I guess the First Order built a citadel in Coruscant over like where the Senate was.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Hux is the new chancellor of the First Order, so like they're trying to ape that empire like grasp on the galaxy.
Until he commits seppuku in his office.
Yeah, I saw that piece too. But yeah, I think from obviously we haven't seen the execution of these plans, so it could have been very poor. But at least where the groundwork is, I think there's an interesting thing they could have done here.
I would have liked to see Coruscant. I think
Yeah.
that's a cool, different thing. Especially, I think a lot of the concept art was Finn and Rose, and I think Poe doing like some sort of citizens uprising,
Yeah, that's really cool.
like in the underworld of Coruscant against the First Order. Imagine that as like the last battle instead of like
Bunch of ships.
a bunch of ships with Death Stars on it,
Yeah.
like 10,000 Death Star ships.
Mm-hmm. And it's a tricky thing to like discuss, I guess, because I think you're right. You can very easily get lost in what could have been, but I think it's worth discussing. You know?
I think so too. I wish, like, coming out of this movie, like, I just wish that there were more risks taken.
Yeah.
And it seems as though Colin Trevorrow's idea were a little bit more riskier.
Yeah.
And it kind of added on to The Last Jedi in a new and interesting way, whereas in my opinion The Rise of Skywalker didn't really do any of that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
So,
But who knows? Maybe we could see this adapted in some sort of like different story later down the line. If the EU existed in a way that allowed for what if scenarios, I would have loved to see this explored through a comic or a book or something. But with the state of things right now, that feels unlikely to me.
not anytime soon.
No. Despite that, unless you have anything else to say about what could have been for episode 9.
Is it even worth it?
Yeah, like I
It's
think it's
not
worth
really.
bringing up because that kind of dominated the conversation for January.
Right, but I mean, like, what's the point though?
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool,
Yeah.
and like, sure, I would like to see some. I would have liked to see it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't get it, so.
Yeah, and there's tons of other details in there, like Kylo Ren killed Rey's parents. She got her double-bladed lightsaber from the start. It was a mix of her staff and Anakin's saber. So there's like cool little touches like that.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in that, I recommend just going in on that art book. So
Wait, are those going to be in the art book?
as far as I know, yeah.
Wow.
So
All right.
my butchered segue was leading into this High Republic era that is
Okay.
also currently unconfirmed, but also dominated the first half of January for Star Wars conversation.
It's like unconfirmed, but
It's like unconfirmed,
yeah.
air quotes. So
Some reputable like Star Wars journalists have.
yes, Jason Ward, who is very reputable when it comes to leaking Star Wars things. I believe he's the one that leaked Rey Palpatine before 9 came out, and a handful of other things from this new sequel era, and I think the title for 9 as well. Basically, he wrote a post saying that the new era takes place in the High Republic, which is 400 to 500 years before the start of the Skywalker saga. It takes place after the downfall of the Sith, which occurred at the end of the Old Republic. So no Sith army. Yoda is there. And according to him and his sources, he's saying that this new era is a dyad, if you will, with the multimedia of Star Wars, because at Celebration last year, they announced this thing called Project Luminous.
Yeah. Is this the same?
It's part of it.
All right.
So Project Luminous briefly was presented as a new initiative for a bunch of Star Wars creatives like Charles Soule, who wrote Vader, Claudia Gray, I believe, is involved as well.
Yeah. She wrote like all the Padme books and stuff.
Yeah, and one of the Leia ones, I think, in Aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Bloodline. I think.
Yeah. So it's taking a lot of people who have worked in the expanded universe for the new era, and letting them create this interwoven beast for what's next from this saga.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing to look at for the Marvel conversation more than the Kevin Feige being brought on or Taika potentially doing a film. I think this is much more in line with Marvel as a brand more so than the MCU, because it is dipping into even the classic Star Wars thing of books are exploring it, comics are exploring it, maybe a show, video games even, because the rumor is that this new era is kicked off through a video game.
Very cool.
Yes. So what's your stance on all of this?
So my understanding of Project Luminous was that it was everything but films.
So the way it was presented so far, they didn't talk about films, but
So
Jason Ward is saying the new era of films, which the Benioff and Weiss saga was going to be, is this. It is the High Republic.
Nice.
It's tied in with Project Luminous.
So when they announced Project Luminous, they didn't necessarily exclude films.
Yeah,
they just didn't mention them.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so it's okay. So that clears it up for me, because
Mhm.
I thought it was just mostly multimedia other than films,
Mhm.
which I'm pretty sure they did this in the past. I don't know. I'm not old enough to have like experienced it as it came out, but they had a thing. I think it was called Shadows of the Empire.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it was what happened after Return of the Jedi,
Mhm.
released like before the theatrical special editions, to get people like hyped up about Star Wars again. And it was a combination of books, comics, games, and,
Action figures as well.
yeah, action figures about Shadows of the Empire, which
Mhm.
is what happened after Return of the Jedi. And it seems reminiscent of that.
Yeah, I've seen several comparisons.
Yeah.
But where do you stand on like staying familiar with the future of the saga? Because I think that's the most interesting thing to discuss here. Well, no, let me backtrack. I think the most interesting thing is the fact that they're starting with a video game,
Yeah.
but returning to maybe the more grand presentation of the prequels in terms of the state of the galaxy, the role of the Jedi Order, the fact that Yoda's coming back. Where are you standing on that?
I love it because I, as we all know, enjoy the prequels very much.
Yes.
And the prequels have that sort of like, I don't want to say old, but like antiquated feeling to them in terms of like things in the original trilogy are all like dirty and like torn apart and like there are divisions everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Going back into the prequels, like there's structure in society and like the Jedi are like this institution that have been there for generations and generations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel as though that's been explored.
Yes.
And this is going to give it a lot of opportunity to do so.
I'm glad that's where you come down on this because, like I said, I've seen some discourse about this. I think this is more interesting than doing Old Republic. Because, like you said, this hasn't been explored at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of the High Republic before this. But I think if you do go the route of the Old Republic, you run into the problem of what the sequel trilogy had as issues of, like, ignoring things that already existed, but kind of not, and drawing that comparison. The High Republic, with the exception of the fact that Yoda's there, could be wildly different, completely brand new, you know?
Yeah,
Still familiar, but doing new things.
definitely. The thing that I'm wondering is like, this takes what, 500 years before the Skywalker saga.
About.
So we know that there are, like, the rule of two is already in place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be seeing like armies of Sith versus armies of Jedi.
That would have been cool to see, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
I'm sure we will get there eventually, but I guess my question is like, for 1,000 generations, the Jedi, like there was peace and harmony in the Republic and the galaxy for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
with not that much Sith influence until the prequels.
Yeah, until they got their revenge in Episode 3.
Exactly. So like,
Where are we going?
Like, where are we going? Like, what's the conflict? Are there going to be like Sith in this new trilogy or whatever?
Maybe. And again, worth reiterating, this is all hearsay at the moment.
I'm just speculating.
It's a grain of salt. But the way I've seen it presented is the fact that the films are going to take place, I forget the proper term, but similar to the Outer Rim, like the Unknown Reaches or something.
Oh, Unknown Regions.
Regions, okay. That's where the bulk of this is going to take place, from what I read.
Interesting, because in Legends, the Sith like screwed off to the Unknown Regions. For,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
1,000 years.
So our new cast of characters could just be maybe on like a Star Trek-esque voyage of exploring the unknown, charting out this galaxy. And
That'd be cool.
yeah, I'd be interested in that because, again, it's something new. You have the opportunity to explore places we've never seen before, do new things with those planets. Maybe at some point in this 500 years, there's a planet they go to that at the time was uncharted. It's like, oh, we didn't find Hoth until like 400 years ago,
Yeah, true.
you know?
Yeah, or like some sequel trilogy.
Yeah, like there's a gateway that they have that opening still.
Yeah, like they go to Crate and it's like there are a bunch of people like chilling on Crate or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hopeful for this if this comes to fruition. It sounds very interesting to me.
Yeah, I'd like to see what sort of like books come out of this, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that's that. If not the game, then that's what we're going to see first.
I think so. And I was reading a little bit more into the speculation and sort of like timeline of these things because let's say for the sake of conversation that 2022 film is the High Republic era. Project Luminous has to kick off sometime in the next 2 years.
I think Project Luminous is going to kick off this year.
That's what it sounded like from what I read, and it seems like we might see the video game this year.
Even if we don't see the video game, we're going to get like a comic book or a book or
Yeah.
something like that.
So,
They're like, I've seen like Charles Soule like tweet about it
mhm.
and like confirmed working on it. Like, so it's not like unreasonable that like they might just like come out next month and be like, yeah, new Charles Soule book like November.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
celebration this year, so like we're gonna probably learn about the new era then.
Definitely.
EA still has that Star Wars license lockdown, so they don't go to E3 technically in June, but like they have an event next door. So last year they showcased Fallen Order heavily. There's no Battlefront 3 coming, so the next Star Wars video game, as far as we know, kind of up in the air right now. there's a new consoles coming out this year, so maybe they want to kick off the new generation with a new Star Wars game. I think it's very reasonable until maybe like April to June that we could get the first part of this new era this year.
It just seems like a fast turnaround time, though. Like, say they waited till like Celebration to like tease a game, and then like EA at their own thing in June, like shows more of it.
Yeah.
Like, if new consoles come out this fall, that's such a fast turnaround. Like,
yeah, and EA doesn't really take that approach. There's some companies that do. Like, they show a game for the first time in May and then it's out by November. But yeah, I think EA does not typically do that.
Right. I just don't see how, unless they've been working on it in secret for like a really long time.
They very well could have been. You know, there's like a ton of teams they have at EA. I don't think it would be like the same people that did Fallen Order.
No.
Because Respawn is busy working on their own stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there was a separate team that was working on the remnants of that Visceral game that got canceled and trying to turn it into something else. So we could see that surface maybe, if that is still being thrown around a studio that EA owns.
I wouldn't be surprised that in the next month we're going to get a little bit more details about what Project Luminous is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I would not be surprised that sometime this month, I mean, not this month, this year, Disney's like, yeah, no, you're getting like 3 books this year.
Yeah.
Like, they're already written.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just coming out.
Yeah, I think that's very likely, personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're going to have to wait very long for the new era to reveal itself.
Yeah, I think it would just be to Disney's detriment the longer they wait.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, me too. I'm very hopeful. I hope all this stuff is true because it sounds really interesting.
Really quick aside, I've been religiously reading The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Ooh. I'm waiting for the trade paperback, so it's all together.
Yeah.
You a fan?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Awesome.
So, just wanted to put that out there.
Very nice. Well, maybe I'll catch up and we can talk about it on the show.
I mean, I can lend you my copies if you want.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
maybe look forward to that.
Next
then.
episode, I'll just bring them over.
All right. Well, that does it for news. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we are going to be running down our guide and experience to starting Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I'm excited.
Stay tuned.
This is where the fun begins.
Welcome back. We are now going to be laying the groundwork for the next few weeks of this show. Star Wars: The Clone Wars has existed for about 12 years now.
Yeah, longer, right?
I think it started in 2008 with the film.
Okay.
And did you have any experience with the series before today?
Yeah. Like, I had watched probably most of the first season on my own.
Yeah.
But, like, I watched it in college.
Okay.
So, like, I remember when this was on, what was it on?
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network. I remember when this was on Cartoon Network, and I never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw the movie in theaters.
Okay.
I waited till I was in college to watch any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't finish it. But yeah, that's really the only.
So this film was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah, I feel like you've mentioned that before.
Yeah. So at the time, enjoyed it, you know? Like, I was like, oh, cool, Star Wars in a movie theater. And then the show premiered. I vividly remember the day it premiered and watching it with some of my friends and my brother at my house. And I think
The show you're talking about.
The show, yeah.
Okay.
And I watched most of the first season and then probably part of the second season as it aired. And then I just kind of fell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we both have like a vague
Understanding
experience with the series so far. But,
like, I know who all the main characters
yeah,
are.
and I know about some of the arcs, and I know about like
Yeah.
some of the character choices they make. So,
And I know what happens to some of the characters too.
Sure.
Because I've watched like Rebels and.
Right, yeah. I have not seen Rebels. I've seen one episode of Rebels, but this journey we're going on together for season 2 of the show
It's quite the journey.
has been laid out for us by friend of the show, friend of us, Jack Martin.
Yeah, thank God.
Shout out to him. He gave us the most useful Google Doc.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
When I opened that, I was like, it's color coded.
Yeah.
It's like it's very well done.
It's fantastic. And Jack has seen this show multiple times. He's watched through it, I would say, at least twice, and he's going to start it again to watch it with us on the show.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Jack. You're making our job significantly easier.
But it does take away some of the episodes, right? Like
Yeah. So the approach we're taking, as given to us by series expert Jack Martin, is going to be covering 70 episodes of this 6-season, soon-to-be 7-season series.
a lot of this was done because we just simply don't have the time.
Right. We are on a schedule that is very closely tied to my college semester. So because of that, we're trying to cover the show to the best of our ability. And it kind of works out perfectly that
I don't think we'll miss anything, to be honest.
no. So there's 70 episodes. Each week we're going to run through 5 episodes. At the end of the episode and on our Twitter at Jedi Knights JC, we will be tweeting out which episodes we're watching every week, so you can follow along, because we're watching the show not only in our own abridged version, but in chronological order. Because as a newbie to the show might not know, the show being the Clone Wars, not our show, the series did not air in chronological order. So the first episode of this show, technically, like timeline wise, does not come until season 3.
Yeah.
And there's 2 episodes of it before the film.
Right. Which are the first 2 episodes of the first season.
Yes.
I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
So what we're doing for this episode, we started with the film. We have watched season 3, episode 1, which chronologically immediately follows the film, that is called Clone Cadets. Then season 1, episode 5, which is a direct continuation of that episode. Season 1, episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. And then season 1, episode 10, Layer of Grievous.
Mm-hmm. All right. Why did they do that?
That happens with a surprising amount of animated series.
Really?
Yeah, Batman the Animated Series, one of the greatest animated shows of all time, also aired out of order for a decent chunk of it. And I think it comes down to like a production schedule of like what the workload distribution is like, how things flow for the studio. Some episodes might be more intensive than others.
That's fair.
So they have to have, with network TV, I think there's like some rule about if you're making a show, I don't know if it's a full show or if it's an animated show or like whatever range of show it's supposed to be. I've heard that you have to have at least 3 seasons and at least 60 episodes planned. So the planning for an animated series or like live action series, it's strange.
Mm-hmm.
So StarWars.com does have an official timeline release if you do want to watch every episode, but
I think Jack went off of that.
he did.
He
Yeah.
must have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're just gonna watch 5-ish episodes a week.
yeah, talk about it, highlights, what we thought of it, because for the most part we're experiencing this entire era of Star Wars for the first time.
Yeah, and we're not gonna like there are some episodes that we're going to breeze over
For sure.
more than others,
Mm-hmm.
because not every episode's like a winner necessarily.
Yeah. So I think for the sake of our conversation, we should probably also discuss the episodes in the order we viewed them.
Makes sense.
So we should start with talking about the movie.
Sure, I had never seen this movie before. Yesterday.
Yeah. Like we mentioned, I've seen it before. It's okay.
Okay, I actually really liked this movie.
Okay.
I really did. I thought it was super fun. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of cool adventures that they go on, huh?
Yeah, because it's basically 3 episodes cut together to make a movie.
Yeah, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a nice introduction to this take on familiar characters. Ahsoka, I remember as a kid, because I was, 12 when this came out. Like, it was cool seeing a youngling Padawan, like, around my age, going on an adventure with, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I've heard
Saving the
incredible
day.
things about her character, so.
Yeah, saving the day in this movie multiple times.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't really like about this movie, though, do you notice like the music's really weird?
Yeah, that was a specific thing that I had a comment on. There's some like electric guitar riffs. There's some like,
Yeah,
is that a Filoni thing?
I don't know, cause like, what was the planet they were on? Like Teth or whatever. It was like it had the Jabba's palaces, but like in the
In the
air.
jungle thing?
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
was like where they found Jabba's son.
Yeah.
And like as they were doing like their assault on that base, like there was like all that rock music in the back, like all that metal music in the background.
Yeah.
It just did not fit.
I was like, this is a choice.
Yeah, it didn't fit. in my
Um,
opinion.
Yeah. So I think once we hop into the actual series, the music gets more Star Warsy, but that was like for sure like that it was a double take.
Yeah, did not expect it.
Yeah. I did not either. But yeah, as far as like what you said with the adventure of it all, I thought it was good. It's fun. It's very not surface level, I guess, but like it is very much a basic way to introduce this conflict, and I get that's the intent because it was supposed to set up a kids show. And from everything I've heard and read about the Clone Wars, the stuff that I've watched was when it was the phase of still being directly marketed to kids.
Mm-hmm. It still is.
Yeah. But like a lot of the themes they explore from, again, people I've talked to, as the series progresses, it does get more layered.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw my buddy DJ Gillard, who hosts as a host on Cantina Conversations. They're binging the entire show to catch up for the new season.
Which comes out in February.
Yes, February 21st is the debut of season 7 on Plus. He said some funny thing about like how they kind of present corrupt senators as like, oh, so they're greedy.
Well, it's just like that's the reason why they're
Yeah.
corrupt. Like,
Yeah. So like I think at the start of it all, if you are diving into this, you have to take that into consideration that like it's definitely going to be more digestible politics than the prequel films.
it was like still like pretty complex though.
Yeah, like the whole thing with like the trade blockade or whatever it was, right?
Right. I mean, like, but like all that like deception with like Count Dooku's like telling Jabba that like the Jedi have like stolen and killed this kid, and
Mhm.
like Jedi don't know that, and like it was layered. I
Yeah.
thought it was well done.
Yeah.
It kind of set up that conflict because like Attack of the Clones, like it doesn't really make any sense. like you're just in Geonosis, and then Yoda comes like coming in with like a bunch of clones,
Yeah.
and then the next movie it's like 3 years later and it all ends.
Yeah. That just gave me an interesting thought. All of this is canon. So going into this show, how are you finding it blend in with the prequel films?
I think it's like, in my opinion, I think it's pretty seamless, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Especially in the performances.
Yeah, I am very impressed by the entire cast.
Yeah, I like obviously like you can tell they're different actors.
Some get really close. Like I think whoever's playing Count Dooku, very close to Christopher
Really
Lee.
close. Yeah.
Like I had to Google it to make sure it wasn't him.
Well, it's not, right?
No, it's not.
Okay. Who voices Obi-Wan?
I think it's James Arnold Taylor.
Like I've heard that voice before. Like I've seen the show, so like I know what cartoon Obi-Wan sounded like,
Mhm.
but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good
Like he's got the cadences down that Alec Guinness would have,
for sure.
and that's impressive.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it fits in line with the characters as we know them, but it is still a unique take on it.
Yeah,
I think that rings the most true with Anakin.
I was gonna say, do you think, like what are your thoughts on cartoon Anakin so far versus like movie Anakin?
So I remember as a teenager preferring the take of Anakin in the like miniseries Clone Wars 2D animated series
Oh, okay.
because I felt that was more in line with Hayden. I think this revisiting it, is much closer and more believable, and I think it like makes me appreciate Anakin more.
Yeah, he's not as annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
But like he still has that tone to his voice, that
well,
like
he's just cocky.
yeah, but like there's still like he's still hitting some of his words with some of that like Hayden Christensen
Yeah.
pause,
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So I enjoy Anakin so far.
I do too. Yeah. I also like having seen Rebels and like kind of understanding where Ahsoka goes, I'm excited to see her character development,
Mm-hmm.
starting from the movie, because she's kind of like wild, reckless,
Yeah.
like youngling, as you would expect,
Mm-hmm.
and she does turn into a wise like.
It's gonna be cool.
It's not really a spoiler, but
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be cool seeing her progress. I also just Googled this because I wanted to make sure. They got Samuel L. Jackson to play Mace Windu in the movie.
oh, did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
Who voices Mace Windu like in the TV show?
Terrence Carson.
Okay, because did you see the trailer for the new season?
I didn't.
Okay, never mind.
I'm aware it came out, and I'm aware that they showcased some cool teases.
I won't say a word then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting seeing how media blackout I handle for the season when we're in the middle of like season 4.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to be
Yeah.
honest, and I don't really think I want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it by ear when we get there.
I just don't really like. What is it gonna actually spoil?
Yeah. That Anakin turns into Darth Vader.
Yeah, like we already know all these things.
Yeah, that's the benefit of a prequel series, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what was your favorite episode of the movie, I guess? Like, because there's
Yeah.
the Arc of the Crystallis, right?
Christophsis.
Christophsis, okay. That whole thing, the battle strategy,
Mhm.
there's the
With like the big shield and stuff.
the chase for the hut, like the hutling is in the second act,
Yeah, like on that planet with the
and then the third act is Tatooine.
Right.
So where do you fall? Like, what's your favorite part of it?
I really like the Christophsis stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is really cool. I have seen the arc of the TV show that immediately precedes this chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned like that, like right at the beginning, they mentioned that Anakin and Obi-Wan like took Christophsis from the Separatists.
Cool.
And like that's what happens in that earlier thing, and I really like those episodes. So being able to see a continuation of that,
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Also, I think Obi-Wan stalling that military general
Yeah.
is like the most Obi-Wan thing of all time.
Sips tea. Yeah, that was good. That was a good moment.
Yeah.
For sure. It's funny because like yeah, I like seeing Obi-Wan in this. It's cool seeing him as a tactician. But a lot of it does come back to Anakin for me in this, because I've never had like a fondness for Anakin really. I think on this very show I said Kylo Ren is a better Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, you might be right.
But I'm open to seeing this interpretation of Anakin grow on me because I really like the way they present him so far. It's gonna take a few mental like hurdles for me to accept this as like a canon character arc for this character that I know already. But I'm curious to see if that is gonna end up swaying my emotions on his turn more than they are right now.
I have a feeling as though I'm going to become attached to this version of Anakin Skywalker.
Me too.
And I think it will only make the prequels, keeping in mind that this is all canon, it'll only make prequel Anakin a little bit more, like, will add like so much more depth to like what he goes through.
For sure. Any more comments on the film before we talk about the episodes we watched?
I just want to reiterate that I did like it a lot.
Okay. Did you rank it at all in our ranking of Star Wars
I
films?
I did not.
Would you rank it above The Rise of Skywalker?
I don't know. I don't know if I can rank it in the same.
Sure.
Like they're all like it's too different.
Could you rank it in the prequel trilogy?
Could I rank it in the prequel trilogy?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to do that right now, both of us?
Can I? Yeah.
I'll go first.
You go first. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Wait. So where do you start from? Bottom. Like,
Bottom to top.
All right.
Phantom Menace at 4.
Okay.
Attack of the Clones at 2. Clone Wars at 3. Sorry, no. I'm turning to Pat. Last place
Yeah.
is the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Third place is Attack of the Clones. Second place would be this. First place is Revenge of the Sith.
Really? Okay. Last place would be this movie.
Really?
But that doesn't mean that I don't like it, though.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the reason I rank it that way, I think, is because it's more digestible, but it's still in this era that I really appreciate.
I'm just having a really hard time, like putting it in the same category, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Like, I fundamentally don't think they belong together.
Yeah.
Like, ranking this animated movie with the theatrical, like, live action ones.
Yeah. That's why I asked you how it blends in, because, like, there are concessions to be made, you know, of, like, why does Anakin never mention the fact that he had an apprentice, you know, in episode 3?
Yeah.
So I don't think you can, like, draw that connection as strongly as you could say the fact that Palpatine did everything in the prequel trilogy and then knew how the original trilogy would go.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's fun as its own entity so far.
Definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I could say that it's better than Attack of the Clones.
Sure. Yeah.
But I also don't know if it may be.
Yeah. Who knows? So Clone Cadets.
Mm-hmm.
Want to dive into that real quick?
Sure.
Clone Cadets, I think, might be my favorite episode that we watched.
It's pretty good.
I loved it.
Yeah. It's a good one.
It's a strong introduction because, like, what I really appreciate about the 4 episodes we watched so far is that, like, none of them are really about familiar characters so far.
No. Yeah. This is the one with all of the clones training.
Domino Squad, I believe, is their name.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they had a nice back and forth, like, very clear underdog story we're following here. I like seeing their growth as a team,
Mm-hmm.
their nicknames for each other.
Fives.
Yeah, how are you, like, doing with remembering which is which?
Oh, I can't.
I think it's funny that, like, they literally tattoo a 5 on Fives' forehead in the next episode, so you know that's him.
Right. Yeah. There are some that you can tell who's who. Like,
Yeah.
Rex. Rex is not in this episode.
No, he was in the film, though.
Right.
And, yeah, I
And
like
he's in that episode
following this one.
following this.
Rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think having the commanders, obviously, like, we knew Commander Cody when we were, like, 13, you know, because of Revenge of the Sith, the orange, yellow guy.
Right.
And then,
how could you go wrong?
yeah, exactly. And then you introduce Rex, so it's like, okay, this is Anakin's guy. He's a shaved head. He bleached his hair, like Slim Shady.
Right, yeah, recognizable in that regard. But
sure.
I mean, the rest of them, like, literally look and sound the same. So, like,
Some of them have, like, different inflection. So, like,
Yeah.
I could remember Echo of, like, the plucky one. It's like, oh, we have orders. It's like, yeah, okay, that's you.
I'm still having a hard time.
Oh, me too. I'm glad that they killed off half of them so I could remember, okay, there's Fives and then there's Echo left.
It's really all of who's left. But I do really so far enjoy, like, this new perspective on the war.
Yeah.
Clones, yeah, like, their growth was accelerated and everything, and they're all just Jango Fetts.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're not people, man.
Yeah, it humanizes them in an
Yeah.
interesting way.
They got souls.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
I would... How do you feel about this? Because, like, I would personally like to see a little more anguish from them, from, like, their fallen comrades, you know? Because, like, what was that one that got eaten by the worm in the next episode, Rookies? They're just like, oh, no. All right. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Yeah. I get that it's like a 20-minute episode, so you can't like fully flesh out the emotional range of each character, but like,
May I suggest that like that's like the clones wouldn't do that?
no, I totally get that.
Like they're millions of them.
Right, and they're probably programmed that way. Like you can really draw a comparison to the droid army
Oh yeah.
in the fact that they're basically programmed. They can have their own like instinctual decision making processes, but like it's a war that's being fought by like two armies of droids essentially, from my perspective.
I think that's what it's supposed to.
Yeah,
That's part of the message behind it,
Right.
right? Like, I don't know. I liked Clone Cadets a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It was very satisfying at the end to
Mhm.
see them like
achieve the
finally
goal. Yeah.
come together. And I also really like that reject clone.
99, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Whatever.
cool.
I love that.
He was nice.
I guess so. I just made me sad.
Yeah, it's definitely presented in a way it's like, oh,
Rip.
yeah, that guy's been alive for like a year probably.
Yeah, he just never got to do his intended purpose.
Mm-hmm. Did you like Rookies more or less than Clone Cadets? Because Rookies follows up on Domino Squad, which also when they said their name, and I was like, fall like dominoes. And then like 2 minutes later, the Bravo team walks by, and they're like, can't wait to see all the dominoes fall like dominoes. And I was like, I could have written this, right?
Yeah, at the end of the episode, I don't know if you noticed, but it said written by Christian Buckley.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't tell you that.
I liked Clone Cadets better than Rookies.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought like Clone Cadets was like an interesting concept. It was very like Ender's Game. I don't know if you ever watched.
I'm
or-
familiar with it.
Okay.
But yeah, like seeing that approach in Star Wars, I thought it was cool because I'm a fan of some anime programs, and a lot of what
guy.
makes them satisfying is the fact that like so much time is spent on training for at least like the Dragon Balls or My Hero Academia. So like seeing Star Wars take the approach of like, hey, these clones that just get tossed around like pawns, like you got to see them like earn their place in this army. I thought that was, like you said, very interesting and new.
Yeah, and like you said before, it humanizes them.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. And Rookies I thought was cool because you got to see Cody and Rex do their thing.
Yeah.
But I do think the perspective we get, like you said, in Cadets is a bit more interesting.
Man, they really blew up that whole base, huh? that was like a power move. I don't know if he got the okay to do that one.
Yeah. I mean, Obi-Wan makes a comment on it, like Rex is Anakin's guy, and Anakin doesn't listen. So Rex does his own thing,
So is Rex like in the 501st? Is that like are we gonna see that? Like, I don't understand.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah.
But is Cody in charge of the 501st?
No, because no, maybe. Is he?
I don't know.
I don't think so because I'm pretty sure the 501st is Anakin's legion of clone troopers, and like the 501st is like on Coruscant when he enters the Jedi Temple at the end in the middle of Revenge of the Sith. Like that's the 501st behind him.
So yeah, I'm assuming Rex is in charge of it then.
Yeah.
And then we get Fives and Echo at the end of that episode joining the ranks.
Yeah. As I don't know if that's actually the 501st.
Mm-hmm. So it's cool though. I like seeing, because I've heard that term before, or that rank before, that platoon, squadron, whatever. So it's cool seeing like a story behind them now instead of just a title.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Cloak of Darkness is the first Jedi-centric episode.
Yeah, this is the one with like Luminara, right?
Yes, and it's her and Ahsoka transporting Newt Gunray, a significantly less racist portrayal of Newt Gunray.
Thank God. Off of, where were they? Cato Nemodia?
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
That's like their home planet.
Yeah. What do you think of this one?
I like the ending was just kind of like, all right, why did I watch that episode?
I next to this one, I wrote down, it's fine.
I kind of, I watched it and I was like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, I almost thought about texting Jack. I was going to be like, Sure about that one?
Yeah, I know.
Because, like, what happened? Like, we saw they had Newt Gunray, and then he got taken away.
Yeah, and that like that guard was like a turncoat.
Yeah, but he died at the end.
Yeah, because what does Ventress kill him?
Yes, because she wants the credit from the Count,
Right.
not this guy he hired. Also, probably saving the Count some money. You know, he's got to buy those nice capes. Because he just tosses them around, you know. In that movie, he just, like, flew it aside.
Yeah.
Into the winds of Tatooine.
I mean, and also those, like, I don't know what kind of spaceship he's got, but it's got, like, he, like, glides, but they're also, like, solar panels. Yeah. Those are expensive, man.
Yeah. I have a question for you about Ventress. And this is also kind of going into the discussion about, like, Ahsoka being Anakin's Padawan, but never addressed in other films. And I think you could probably think about Ventress in the same way the Inquisitors are thought of, but, like, just tossing out the rule of two for the sake of having lightsaber fights in this show. Like, what?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any deeper than that.
Yeah.
I think they made a sacrifice in terms of story.
Mm-hmm.
The rule of two thing is really limiting.
Yes. Does not do well for franchises.
No, it doesn't. And, like, I understand why it exists and everything, but, like, it doesn't make sense that, like, Asajj Ventress is she even Sith, like, technically?
I mean, they call her an assassin multiple times. And I don't know if she used to be a Jedi or what, but, like, it's clear the Count trained her.
She does have I guess then it's very Inquisitor-like vibes.
Sure. I have another question. I feel like having two lightsabers, you should automatically win any fight you're in.
I don't know.
Like,
well, are you talking about okay?
Because, like, not the fact that she's, like, fighting Ahsoka, because, like, we don't know when Ventress started training, you know, because this series takes place smack dab in the middle of a 3-year gap.
We could assume, I think, that she's more trained than Ahsoka.
Yeah, but, like, Count Dooku turned in relatively close proximity to the events of Attack of the Clones, right? Like, up until, like, at some point from episode 1 to episode 2, when Anakin was training, is when I always thought that Dooku shifted.
So apparently in Claudia Gray's book Master and Apprentice, it takes place years before The Phantom Menace, like 5 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, Count Dooku's already defected.
But is he a Sith yet?
He's left the Jedi Order.
Okay.
I don't know if he's a Sith.
Okay.
But
okay.
As far as I understand, I may be wrong on that, but, like, I'm pretty positive that, like, that book confirms that he's already left the Jedi.
All right. But yeah, regardless, I feel like if you have one swing and then they block, while they're blocking, just, like, swipe.
Yeah. They
You
always
know?
get into the saber locks where she, like, uses both
of them. Yeah, like, come on.
Just don't.
But nitpick aside, I like seeing Ahsoka have that, like, rebellious vibe to her, you know, because it fits in with Anakin, like, going against the whole thing that Luminara was saying, like, in the interrogation. I saw shades of her master, you know.
I was going to ask you about this, actually, and I wanted to bring it up when we were talking about the movie. How are you responding to Anakin and Ahsoka, like, meshing together as like a duality?
I like it because I see so many similarities between them as far as, like, wanting to do things their own way and having an overconfidence, which I'm assuming is going to be integral to her character growth.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we see the route that Anakin could have taken if he didn't fall to Sidious. So I enjoy it in the fact that I think it gives some of his qualities in a different way.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like, he has to kind of deal with himself.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I think that services his character as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure he will learn things.
Yeah,
throughout.
Mm-hmm. I liked their interaction in the film also when he was talking about Tatooine.
Yeah.
That was a good moment.
I was, like, low-key expecting him to be like, I hate sand.
I was
it's coarse
too.
And rough and gets everywhere.
I honestly, I thought there's a specific line when they're walking at night.
Mhm.
One of them says something, and then I'm like, is he gonna say it?
Yeah, he mentioned sand,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Go do it, do it."
But yeah, that was another instance I thought of, like the subtlety of like using the medium of animation, I guess, to be subversive in what you're expecting. Because like he shows some range on his like contemplation about it, Shmi being dead.
Yeah, they do like the weird thing when he like mentions Tatooine. They're like approaching Tatooine from the ship.
And then the Tusken Raider
Yeah, the
sounds.
Tusken sound.
That's the transition. Yeah.
I love it.
Any final thoughts on Cloak of Darkness?
Is whatever.
Well, did you like the layer of Grievous more?
I didn't really care for either of them.
Yeah, I think the first 2 episodes set a tone that I definitely want more of, and I'm sure we'll get. And it was cool seeing other members of the Jedi Order take the spotlight.
Yeah. Who were the Jedi in this one? There was like that.
Kit Fisto is one.
And then the Mon Calamari.
Yeah, and that was cool seeing a Jedi of that race.
Definitely cool.
But
yeah, Kit Fisto, right?
Yeah, I know his name because of the Lego games.
Oh no, I like the thing is I feel like we're gonna have a problem with this show is because there are just so many characters.
Yeah, like the only ancillary characters, ancillary Jedi that I could name off the top of my head before this show, even, Kid Fisto, Plo Koon, Aayla Secura, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and that's it.
Yeah. Luminous Unduli.
I knew who she was, but I didn't know her name.
Yeah. I'm not really. Yeah. I don't want to go through the ones that I can.
Yaddle.
Sure.
They're on the council.
Mace.
Well, he's more than an ancillary Jedi.
I know.
But yeah, this was
Plo
another.
Koon, did you say that one?
Yeah, Plo Koon. Yep. So, layer of Grievous. What was that?
Plo Koon, he dies.
Okay.
What? He did?
For listeners, Mike just blessed himself in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Well, I gotta give it up for my man.
Sure.
Plo.
But yeah, this episode I thought was also fine.
I watched like past this,
Okay.
and I gotta say I kind of forget what happens in this one.
It was definitely, I thought, the weakest out of the ones we saw because at least in the previous one we got more insight on Ahsoka, who is the new character, rather than like a stand-in Jedi that I would say we get with Kit Fisto. Like, yeah, he's a cool looking guy, but could have been Obi-Wan, you know. And I feel like we're gonna get into those scenarios with the series, but yeah, I think the highlight for me this week was definitely the clone episodes.
I think the highlight for me this week was the film.
Okay, sure.
Maybe it's because I've seen the clone episodes before.
Mm-hmm.
The Lair of Grievous episode I thought was particularly striking in its ending. I just like the message, since that Mon Calamari like Jedi gets like too amped to fight Grievous,
Yeah.
and then like Yoda gives him like hard shade at the end.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm on the same page. I do think the film was a nice introduction to.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid week. I have 3 of these 5 pieces of media listed as very solid in my rankings, I guess, because we're not going to be reviewing or scoring them because there's so many episodes.
Yeah. I would say my least favorite of the ones that we watched was Lair of Grievous.
Okay, yeah, I think I agree.
The rest of them real good.
Yeah. So that wraps this week's Clone Wars discussion. Next week,
Get ready.
yeah, next week we are watching Season 1, Episode 11, which is called Dooku Captured. Season 1, Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. Season 1, Episode 20, Innocence of Ryloth. Season 1, Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth. Glad that's a full arc there,
Yeah.
clearly. And Season 2, Episode 1, Holocron Heist.
Cool.
So I am very excited for next week because we got a full 3-episode arc and a heist.
I think the arc, in just terms of our podcast, may service our podcast is probably better served with arcs.
That's what I was hoping.
We can talk more about the deeper
For sure.
connotations.
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to line up in a way. That's why I'm glad we're doing 5 a week, because it gives the window of like 3 episodes is usually an arc for like an animated 20-minute series like this. So
I would also be okay with like if 1 week like there's an arc but like the last episode's cut off.
yeah.
Just throw it on so we can.
Yeah, the schedule is going to be very fluid. That's why I recommend checking out the end of the episodes and the Twitter, so you can be very on top of what we're watching when.
You can follow along with us.
Yeah, and I'm excited because new Star Wars. I've heard people say it's some of the best Star Wars, so I'm eager to see it.
I'm very excited. So far, so good.
Yes. So I think that's going to do it for our return.
Oh yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
All right, would we be Jedi or Sith?
I don't know. I feel like I couldn't be bad,
Right.
you know?
I'd like to be one of those like neutral Jedi, like
Yeah.
the gray Jedi.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, I'd probably be a Sith.
Okay. All right, Edgelord Mike, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow me at Chris N. Buckley in both places. This show is available on youtube.com/joyclicks for the visual experience.
The 4D experience.
Yeah. If you just want to listen to us, though, in the car, we're running at the gym, or just running.
Yeah, or
running through the woods.
or you're just running for your life.
Doing that Jedi training course from episode 9.
Yeah, exactly.
We're on podcast services like Apple Podcasts, where if you enjoy the show, rating and subscribing would help. Spotify, which you can't do that anywhere for some reason.
You can't review on Spotify?
No.
So
I
then
don't know.
how do like the leaderboards, I don't want to say leaderboards, but
They are, well, yeah. I think it's just by like number of plays, I guess.
all right.
So
you got to do what Justin Bieber asked his fans to do.
what did he
You got to put this podcast on low volume and then just repeat it while you sleep.
Yeah.
So we could just get all the views.
Yeah. That's the strategy.
Yeah.
So we also have a Patreon where you can look for little bonuses and fun things that you can get for just $1 a month. But
That's a good deal.
yeah, that's going to do it. Excited to be back. New episodes every Wednesday now. So,
Schedule change.
yes. Until then, though, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the force be with you.
General Kenobi.